Okay, hello, good morning. This is our session just to inform you how our course is going to be developed, right? This is kind of a walkthrough the Wiley E. Let's start checking a little bit. For a minute, where's my PPT? Yes. Let's see. You know, nowadays it's a tendency to prepare our students to face international exams since they are kids, the small ones, right? So we are going to have a walking through the Wiley exams. So you are going to know what things we need to handle, how the exams are, right? And all the different strategies that we need to focus when we prepare our students for those exams. So first of all, what do you know about the Wiley E exams? Any idea? Nothing?
Un
No,
ex-
Patricia.
para,
Nati? Ruby?
¿Es un examen diseñado para niños?
Okay, it's an exam for kids.
Through this exam, the student can receive the or can know what is the level of their English or their knowledge about the courses, about the course, about the language.
Okay. To check the level of the students according to the different ages, right? Okay. And do you know how many exams do they have in primary level? Any idea how many exams?
Is same of the adults? Take a T.
Okay, TKT is for adults, for
Only for
teachers
adults.
that teach. This is based on methodology. But now we are going to have the Wiley E, right? Let's see. First of all, we need to know this. Set your child up for the future success. So Cambridge assessment used by over 50,000 schools in more than 100 countries. So imagine more and more kids are facing international exams accepted by over 17,000 universities, employers, and governments worldwide. So if you teach your students to succeed in international exams, so imagine they will have lots of possibilities at university, at work, to travel, scholarship. So they are going to open
Okay,
the
that means,
horizons. Right now, yes, Nati.
sorry for interrupt, but for example, for adults, the exam is only, you have to take the exam year by year, or in some cases,
Yes,
in the
this
case of
is.
each child, is okay.
So this is what I'm going to explain now.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, for kids, we have this. Yes, these are for primary students. The starters, movers, and flyers. This is not for kids, this is for secondary, from here up to this. But for primary level are flyers, movers, and starters, right? The perfect organization for this is, for example, starters is for first and second grade primary. Movers, third and fourth. And flyers, fifth and sixth. So this is the perfect view. But many schools are starting facing exams. That's why, for example, students from fifth grade and sixth grade are starting with this. The students from fourth and third grade are starting with this, right? Why? Because the layout of these exams are totally different from school. And we need to train our students. Yes, we need to train our students to succeed in this. Okay? So, and when you are in secondary, you can have key, PET, or B2 first. If you are adult, if you teach at university, the students at university need to finish with this exam in order to get their degree, B2. And you have B2 for the schools and B2 for adults. All these exams are for school and for adults. What is the difference? The topics. The differences are the topics. Because if it's a school student, the topics are connected with friends, music, movie, all the things that they know. If it's connected with adults, it's connected with job, traveling around the world. So you see, there are some differences. But what we are going to pay attention on today is in this: starters, movers, and flyers. And they are for primary level, primary. Yes? So what they are? Pre-A1 is a starter, A1 movers, and A2 flyers are 3 exams produced by Cambridge Assessment English, part of the University of Cambridge. They are part of a range of Cambridge English qualifications. Each exam builds on the skills children develop at the previous level. Okay, so this is starter, movers, flyers. And everything is connected with the context of the students from primary. Okay, the vocabulary that they manage, the grammar that they need to apply in the different exercises. So everything is connected according to the age. Nati, any question?
Yeah, sorry for interrupt. Can you repeat? Is it possible about the pre A1 started? What is the level? Because you mentioned something like that, but I can't listen. I couldn't listen. So could
And
you?
here is the level. This is a pre-A1.
Mm-hmm.
So it means kind of real beginner, right?
Okay. Okay.
Then
I got
you
it.
have kind of elementary. And here A2 is a pre-intermediate.
Okay.
Yes, it's like beginner, elementary, and pre-intermediate.
Okay, miss. Thank you.
Okay. So when you select a book, it's important as well, or when you prepare material, that you need to cover these levels. You need to cover these levels. And how you cover? The number of vocabulary, the grammatical structure, so everything is connected. So maybe your students are in this level at school and you want to do this exam. So it's not possible because your students are going to feel frustrated. Okay? And it's very important because parents need to pay the exam. And if they pay, imagine, and their kids fail the exam, you're going to have some problems. So this is how it is. How much time will it take? They evaluate the 4 skills: listening, reading and writing, and speaking. The 4 skills are evaluated. Let's suppose your students are going to have a pre-A1 starter. The listening is more or less 20 minutes. The reading and writing is another 20 minutes. The speaking is going to be between 3 and 5 minutes. So the total of the exam, 40 minutes. Okay, 40 minutes where the students are going to move from one to the other exam. Then you have movers. The listening part is 25 minutes. The reading and writing, 30 minutes. The speaking is between 5 and 7 minutes. So this is gonna be 1 hour for your students. So it's a long time, right? Then we have flyers. So the flyers are gonna have 25 minutes of listening, 45 minutes of reading and writing, and between 7 and 9 minutes of speaking. So this is how it works when your students need to face those international exams. Yes? So your students need to be exposed to different people evaluating the 4 skills. 40 minutes, 1 hour, and 1 hour, 14 minutes. So they need to face that time. And that's why we need to train our students in order to be prepared to manage all these things. Also, we need to work on their emotions, on their security, on their confidence. Because maybe I know a lot of English, but if I get nervous for the interview of the speaking, so imagine, I'm not gonna say anything. So we need to prepare emotionally as well to our students to face that time with 2 examiners. One examiner interviews and the other examiner take notes. Just listen the mistakes or the things that they did well and everything, and according to this is the score. Okay? Then, let me tell you that in the Cambridge assessment page, there are lots of activities connected with the preparation of your students. So there are 30 different activities, so 1 activity per day. 30 fun English learning activities. And those activities are for free. What you need is just to download the material. Well, you need to be patient because you need to download one by one and put it in a file, right? Obviously, there are books for preparation and lots of material to prepare your students, but as well, you will have some recommendations made by Cambridge Assessment. Okay, so for example, you will have the chance day 9, yes, to play and repeat the sounds. Day 21, that you are going to prepare something with your students. Oh, you are going to look at your pictures from your book and you are going to describe. So they propose activities to be worked in your classes. Okay? And those activities are depending on the different skills. But thanks God, Cambridge proposed some free activities. So you have 1 free activity per day. What you need is just to get into the page and look for Cambridge material, free Cambridge material for preparation, YLE. As well, they give you lesson plans and they propose some strategies and techniques to familiarize the students with the layout and everything. Any question up to here? No questions? Feel free, eh? If you want to do it in Spanish, in English, no problem. Okay, so to recap, how long is the exam? So depending, right? If it's a pre-1, A1 is a starter, it's between 40-45 minutes. Yes, the A1 movers exam is 1 hour, and the F2 flyers 1 hour, 14 or 15 minutes. But your students need to develop confidence. What if I don't understand the examiner or the recording? Because you know, sometimes when we teach primary, we tend to speak a little more in Spanish rather than English. And what is the problem? That my students are not accustomed to have the input of listening. Yes? Or they don't understand when you ask a question. That's why you need to teach your students some useful phrases like, can you repeat it again, please? I couldn't understand, yes? So it's possible. It says the examiner will repeat and show you what to do in the speaking exam. In the listening exam, you'll hear each recording twice. As well, we need to rehearse with our students to work on listening and repeat it just twice, no more than twice. But previously to that, we need to work on strategies of listening. So when they have the audio, they will pick the information very fast. Okay, so that's why it's very important. Then, am I allowed to ask questions if I don't understand? Because sometimes the students are timid and they don't know if they have to ask or not. It says, in reading and writing, raise your hand, yes, and someone will help you because there are invigilators. The invigilators are the teachers who control and monitor the exam. So they can call the invigilator and say, please, can you come here? I don't know exactly what to do. So just a very brief explanation is going to give the invigilator, okay? In the speaking test, you can ask the examiner. You must not ask questions during the listening test. Okay, so during the listening, it's not possible to ask questions because it's very fast. And if you're asking questions, you are interrupting the others. So it's not possible. That's why you need to prepare your students in advance. Okay? What else do I need to know? What if I don't know the answer to the question in the reading or writing exam? Yes, because my students are nervous and they forget in that moment. So what's going to happen? I need to answer everything? Not really. If my students feel that they are not able to accomplish that question, they can leave it. Okay? Tell them to start from those questions that they really know. And then at the end, those questions that maybe is during or is not secure about it. So those are for the last minute because we have time to think and rethink. But the idea is to work on what we know first, and then at the end, what we know more and less, and at the end, what we don't remember, and we try to think and recap the information, right? Don't panic. It's better to write an answer and try than to write nothing. Tell them that maybe they can take the risk and they can answer. Yes, because they are not going to discount any point. So it's better that they try to answer every single question. Maybe it's during, it's not secure, but tell them that they need to try to do their best and answer everything, right? What else? I know I have to color in the listening exam. It's very important to help your students to develop that. Keywords through pictures, because they will color according to the listening. For example, you can have a family and says, my father lives in a big house. The house is brown and blue. So they have their colors. They're going to give the colors. They don't have to take the colors, right? The evaluator, the invigilator is going to give the colors to the students to color during the listening moment. Or the flower next to the tree is orange, so they need to recognize and color. Okay, but I'm not very good at this. Will I lose marks? No, you are not going to lose marks. They need to try it. Don't worry, you just have to find the right part of the picture and use the right color. So you see, sometimes we say just color to the students, but no, there is a purpose of coloring our books or our worksheets. The purpose is that they focus on keywords. They recognize the keywords, and that's why you have to tell them, color the chair blue, right? Or cross out the chair with the color blue. So those are the strategies that will help your students to face the exam. Inductively, we are preparing. And maybe the first year at school, you are working not really on the exam, you are working on developing in your students strategies like finding the right picture, coloring, right? We are going to see some things. For example, here I have something that I was checking like this. Yes, can you see it? This is what we need to teach to our students. And maybe we can have this. Yes. Tick X. T X. Why is it important to manipulate these kind of things? Because we are preparing our students with strategies that are going to be useful for their evaluation. So I'm checking comprehension. This is a fish. Yes. This is a sausage. No. As well, I can have this. Yes. So these are strategies to handle with my students. I'm preparing my students. This is, for example, starters. And starters. We say that the starter is for what age? Do you remember? The starter is for what level? Fifth, sixth grade?
First and second.
First and second grade. Yes. So this is what we need to prepare our students on. Recognition of chunks of language, right? Like this. So they will have, this is a coconut. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
This is a banana. Yes or no?
Oh, no.
No. This is a carrot. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. This is a potato. Yes or no?
No.
No. This is a mango. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. You see? As easy as that. You are preparing your students to recognize very fast. Remember, they have just some minutes. They don't have a long time like in the school. So there are some activities that they need to recognize. What would you like for lunch, Grace? And they need to answer questions, right? So those questions are important when you want to train your students for international exams. This is what they are going to get. They are going to get certificates, right? And this is what we need to know. For example, the shelves. These are the shelves, los escuditos, as we call, right? All these have 5 different shelves. Those shelves represent the level of knowledge of your students. If you see here, for example, in speaking, I have only 3 shelves colored, right? In reading and writing, I have 5 shelves colored. And this is listening, reading and writing, and this is speaking. I have 4. What does it mean? What do you think it means? ¿Qué significa esos escuditos?
Voy.
The level of English, did you get it?
Okay. The level of English, yes. So there is something positive when they face the Wiley exams.
La.
All the
Okay.
students
Yeah.
receive their
Hola.
certificates. Okay? All the students receive their certificate. What is the difference here? The shelves. Okay? So here I know that I need to reinforce a little bit in listening. I'm really good at reading and writing. And maybe I need to have a little more practice in what is speaking. You see? So the shelves determine my level. That's why I say there is no pass or fail for the Wiley Young Learner Examination. Young Learners Examinations, right? So there is no pass or fail. Everybody receives their certificate. Every candidate who attempts all 3 components will receive an award. In many cases, they face the international exams in November or December. Yes, those are the days because schools prepare their students during the year, right? And when they have the exam in November or December, their certificates arrive to Peru after almost 2 months. Yes, after almost 2 months, the physical certification. But you can see your results after 1 month because they give you, yes, one paper similar to this, the entry, yes. And here they say you have like a code. With this code, students are able to check after 1 month on Cambridge page assessment the result. And then you get this. All the effort of your students will receive this kind of certification. Okay, so these are the strengths according to this. The shields are the strengths, things to work. And also in the results, they give you some tips. So what they need to work on, some recommendations, and as well, how to improve. Okay, so they only give the certificate? No, they give you a paper, and in this paper, they give you recommendations and where are your strengths. So imagine if one student covers all the shields. It's incredible, it's ready for the next level. And schools are working since primary nowadays, so they can start with starters 1 year, then they move to movers, and finally they finish with flyers. Now, I want to start at my school exams. So just if I have really good students, I can cover flyers. Okay, because maybe I have students that go to IMNA, Británico, Católica, Euridiomas, UCB, whatever university or language center, and they have more knowledge than the rest. But if I want to start my project, it's better to start with starters and movers. Okay, so third, better, wait a minute, better with this. Here, third and fourth graders. First and, yes, third and fourth graders. Then movers, fifth and sixth graders, right? And flyers next year, because it's a process. It's a process. But I expose to my best students. I don't expose the whole class, okay? I have really good students that like the language. I consider those students. Now your question maybe is, Jean-Luz, and is it possible to train my students during the normal classes? No, it's not possible. You need to work with that group in a special schedule because you need to prepare them in a different way, right? So it's totally different. During the school, I work a little more in vocabulary and grammar, but here I need to handle vocabulary, grammar, time, strategies, technique, material, emotion, so it's a process. Maybe this year I'm not prepared. I'm not really prepared with my group. So I need to consider to reinforce a little more for the next year. Can I have in July the exams? Yes. Depends on the school, because those exams are really open. So whenever you have 10 candidates, they can evaluate your students. And there are a lot of language centers, like we say, centros evaluadores. Yes, examiners. But depending where you live or where you want to go, or depending of the prices. Yes, not everybody has the same price. Now let's move on a little bit. Any question up to here? It's time to ask. If you want to ask, do it in Spanish, no problem, eh? Okay. So this is kind of the summary, yes? Let's recap. Here we have, according to the Common European Framework, the different levels. Yes, this is the format. What is it? Paper-based. Because now, since this year, we have a digital version of the starters, movers, and flyers. But the very classic version is paper-based. Because students need to color, students need to match, students need to circle, right? How many papers or how many exams? 3 different exams. Listening, reading, writing, speaking. And you have the time of every single exam, things that you need to consider, right? It takes time for your students. It's demanding, yes, but it's rewarding at the same time. Up to here, any question? Let's see. For example, I'm thinking on preparing my students for the exams. What is the language that I need to teach? Or what are the strategies that I need to manage? For example, I'm planning to start or to work with the starters. Maybe I want everybody to start with the starters, eh? First, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, sixth graders with the starters. It's possible? Yes, it's possible. Because what I want is to have the experience with my students. So what I need to teach them? Single sentences. Yes, similar to the format. For the movers, 1 or 2 sentences. And there is a variety in the format. Yes, affirmative, negative, questions. Then in the flyers, 1 or 2 longer sentences. It's a little more complex sentences. So there are lots of variations in the format. Now, I need to work a lot with pictures. It's necessary to work with pictures for this. Have pictured support. For example, starters. Sentences based on pictures, sentences beside each picture. Yes? While movers, pictures and words, matchings, right? Movers, sentences not beside pictures. So just observing general ideas, right? And flyers, no pictures. They don't have description of pictures. They have questions itself. They have analysis, critical thinking skills. So imagine, sometimes we don't consider the process of our students. But if you are planning to prepare students for international exams, this is the way you need to go step by step. Nowadays, there are lots of students that are facing international exams. And it's not only for a nice area. You have people, schools from Ventanilla, schools from San Juan de Lurigancho, you have schools from La Molina, you have schools from Miraflores, you have schools from Comas, Caraballo that are facing international exams. Why? Because you are preparing your students for the future, right? And it's very nice for them to manage the language in another level. So there are lots of parts that you can download from the page of Cambridge. What kind of exercises they need to manage. So here you can work on different strategies. For example, flyers in listening. The part 5 is children will no longer be asked to draw as part of this question. They will now write a word. So they will listen, paying attention, and they will fill with a word. Yes? So imagine this is a strategy. Because what do we do in a normal class? Okay, listen. What do we listen? This, or just some simple ideas. But here, you need to pay attention. You need to concentrate and try to remember what is the word that is missing in that part. Or starters that says reading and writing now has both plural and singular nouns. So we need to teach our students to classify plural nouns, singular nouns, yes, and when they read, they need to recognize that. Sometimes we say it's simple, yeah, it's simple, but our students need to rehearse. Now, what about if I want to start teaching vocabulary? What kind of vocabulary I need to handle? For example, starters, animals, the body and the face, clothes, colors, family and friends, food and drink, the home, number 120, places and directions, school, sport and leisure, toys, transport, the world around us. So all these topics our students need to be familiarized with. For movers, they need to know all these topics plus health numbers from 21 to 100, ordinal numbers from 1st to 20th, the time, including days of the week, the weather. And for flyers, everything connected with the starters, everything connected with movers, plus materials, work numbers till 1,000, ordinal numbers, time, but in this opportunity, month, years, and dates. So this is the sequence of vocabulary that my students need to manage. So whenever I prepare material for my students at school, I need to consider these topics. Okay? These topics are not new because if you're working with some books or material, this is what we work in every single class. The idea is, oh my goodness, my camera. The idea is how you word this, right? Any question up to here? No questions? Is it clear?
Miss, una pregunta.
Yes, Ruby.
Sí, ya que nos ha mostrado los contenidos, ¿no? En Starter, Movers, entonces el profesor encargado tiene que prepararlos para esos temas para el día del examen.
Yes. A ver, vamos a verlo en Spanish. Por lo general, tenemos que tener una capacitación, ¿no? Algunos colegios se lanzan sin capacitación previa al profesor y les dice, ya, prepara a los chicos. Pero si nosotros no hemos tenido la experiencia de tomar un examen internacional, no sabemos muy bien por dónde direccionar, ¿cierto? Pero si trabajamos, por ejemplo, con alguna editorial, las editoriales dan este servicio de capacitar a los maestros para poder entrenar a mis alumnos a que den exámenes internacionales. Si no, justo por eso hemos abierto este curso, porque hay muchas instituciones que no tienen ese servicio. Entonces, ¿por qué? Porque yo, maestra, necesito capacitarme y saber cómo repotenciar lo que mis alumnos ya saben.
Entonces, ese curso es, ya lo tenía claro, nada más para reconfirmar, porque por eso es que me metí. Para que nos enseñen las estrategias de cómo
Justamente.
capacitar a los niños para que puedan dar sus exámenes internacionales.
Exacto. Mira,
Genial.
y justo aquí, si hablamos de estrategias, por ejemplo, para mis starters, para poder lograr el reading and writing, what I have to do? Understand simple sentences and simple words. Movers, understand simple texts, ya no sentences, texts, and write simple sentences. Here words, here sentences. You see how it's changing? Now understand short texts. Even if some words are unknown, and write short, simple stories and descriptions. So we are moving, right? It's the same for listening and speaking. So there are some strategies that you need to work like a scaffolding way. And here for writing, for example, you need to work with a lot of pictures. Picture story, write one word answer, yes, no. Yes, nothing more than yes, no. Complete sentences, answer questions and write sentences about pictures. 1 or 2 words answer. For example, what's the boy doing? And they say, riding a bike. What's the mother doing? Watering the plants or watering, I don't know, the dog. And here's just one word. What do the kids do? Play. You see? So this is the way you need to develop strategies in your students. One word, one sentence, and here they need to create a story. You say, look the 3 pictures and you need to create a story. What do we need to teach? First, second, finally. Of first, then, finally. Some words in order to connect a story. Not only in picture one astronaut and a Martian or UFO. Second picture, the UFO have breakfast. No. Okay. In the first picture, I can see, right? Second, or then in the second picture, yes, so we need to help our students with some conjunctions, some connectors. This is what we need to develop in our students. Develop real-life communication skills. If you go to Google, in Google, you have some videos of the speaking interview. And it's very important that your students watch those videos so they can see how the examiner is going to evaluate. Yes? Sample stories. And let me tell you that this is the weakest part for our students because they don't know how to organize the story. This is for a flyer. And here the examiner says, for example, the teacher and the students, Nick and Andrea, had a difficult day. They observed something through the window. And then the students need to connect the story, right? I'm going to be a speaking examiner for those exams, yes, for Cambridge. I will start examining kids from Cambridge as well. So it's very important that you manage this. And here, trained examiners ensure a fair assessment, so clear assessment. Examiners have a welcoming approach and can provide reassurance. Why? Because your students are going to knock the door, yes, and says, may I get in? Can I get in? It's not just open the door and get into the room. No, you need to teach your students some protocols, right? How to get into the room, to wait, not to sit down, to wait till the examiner says, okay, give me your mark sheets, and now sit down. So there is some routines that we need to practice with our students as well, okay? The focus is on supporting the child to show what they can say in English. For example, motivate learners with fun and authentic exams. Like this. For example, here they need to recognize the differences. Yes, and students sometimes they are nervous and they don't see the differences. And here, for example, they need to manage what? Weather, check here, check here. Objects, check here, check here. Prepositions, look at here, look at here. Numbers, Yes, all the different fish here and here. So imagine, is there another difference? No more differences? Okay, so this is what you need to work on. It looks so fun. It makes you want to take the test, a young learner exam candidate. So students are usually highly motivated to do the test. This has a good effect on their attitude and behavior. They feel secure when they take the exam. Any apprehension the teachers might have felt when it started out was usually dispelled once they had discovered the wealth of material available and experienced the positive effect on a student's motivation. Yes, so really the students love the exams. At the very beginning are afraid of facing the exam, but then on, they feel secure and they love to have the next step. So they start with the starters, movers, flyers. When they finish primary level, they have their international certificates. So when they move to secondary, it's going to be very easy for them to apply the coming exams, right? Also, you have this kind of a map of the different activities that you can work, and you can download this page from Cambridge. They are the can-do statements, so what they need to get from every single exam. Yes, you know, the can-do statements are like the metacognition part, what I can do and what I can't do, right? So I have here. And let's suppose if we are working with any textbook, yes? So what we need to reinforce? Because sometimes parents don't want to buy a new material for the preparation exam because there are lots of books for the preparation exam. So we need to take advantage of our material. Or if we prepare material, we need to pay attention on what we need to develop in our students. For example, respond to simple questions. What's your favorite color? Blue. Okay, what's your favorite color? And also you can prepare some like this. Who? How many? Yes. What time? How often? And some cards that help your students because here you need a lot of concrete material and a lot of visual things. In that way, your students will feel comfortable and taking things, yes, manipulating, and it's an active process for your students to learn. Now, if I have stories, understand short stories. So here I can start asking questions. Is the story about some ducks? Yes. Is the story about a very tiny duckling that is very, very naughty? Yes. Is the story about a girl? No. Is the story about, you see, yes, no? Or you can prepare like this with these things because what you're checking is comprehension, right? With these things, you can work comprehension with your students. Spell simple words, a lot of spelling. You need to work a lot the alphabet. They need to know by heart because there is a lot of, for example, in movers, you have pictures and you have the words, the spelling, but in disorder. And if they don't know how is the order of the words, they will have problems because it's a mistake. Yes, that's why they need to know the alphabet, how the words are written. So lots of dictations, lot of visual input through word cards, maybe, right? That's why spell simple words. This is for starters. For movers, understand simple stories. But in this case, it's not just no. Here, they need a little more information, you know? Sentence. Write simple sentence giving personal details. Yes. So what's your favorite music? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food, right? Understand simple written sentences. So they need to understand what they are reading, because sometimes we translate everything for our students, and that's not the idea. The idea is that our students understand in English and work in English, right? Flyers understand short text, even if they do not every word. Yes, it's not necessary that they understand every single word. What we want is that they understand the main idea of the text. Write short, simple stories using pictures. They need to create stories in 3 steps, in 4 steps. Understand simple written descriptions because they will have definitions and words, right? Work a lot on definitions. So for example, it's a fruit, it's red, it's juicy. What's this? An apple. Perfect. That's the way you need to work, right? So this is what we are going to work in 8 sessions. Yes. Introducción al marco Wiley, análisis del formato del examen, comprender la estructura, niveles, objetivos de los exámenes, estrategias para enseñar listening, aprender a entrenar a comprensión auditiva, reading y writing, comprensión de lectura y vocabulario clave, reading y writing, la parte 2, entrenamiento de escritura estructurada, yes, speaking, parte 2, interacción, planificación de clases y recursos, yes, y simulaciones y retroalimentaciones. Este es nuestro temario que vamos a trabajar para que ustedes puedan poner en práctica con sus alumnos. Y lo paso en Spanish para que ustedes de repente lo tengan un poco más claro. ¿Puedo comenzar con pilotos? Sí, es lo recomendable. Comenzar con un piloto. ¿Qué hago? ¿Cuál es el proceso? ¿Cómo comienzo? Comienzo con mis mejores alumnos de cada salón. ¿Y qué hago? Hago un examen de nivel para revisar si realmente van a dar la talla. Luego de ese examen de nivel, más adelante, les tomo un mock parecido al real, un examen tipo parecido, más cortito, no con todas las partes, para ver si realmente van a poder enfrentarse a un formato nuevo. Luego, ¿qué hago? Comienzo a hacer mi taller de preparación. Pero antes de preparar a mis alumnos, invito a mis padres y decirles sus hijos han sido clasificados y esto es lo que tenemos que hacer, se comprometen o no. ¿Por qué? Porque cada examen cuesta. Está de 250, 260, 280, son los precios del centro evaluador más barato, porque ahí están 300, 320, 330. ¿Ok? Entonces, hay varios precios, dependiendo de dónde van a tomar sus alumnos, pero es todo un proceso y cronograma que les podemos enseñar cuando tengamos el curso. Soy experta en armar cronogramas para poder hacer el proceso de evaluaciones Cambridge en los colegios. ¿Ok? Entonces, esa es la idea, que ustedes puedan manejar todo esto para entrenar a sus alumnos y llevarlos al éxito. Consultas.
Sí, Miss, entonces usted considera que mejor es primero hacer una prueba piloto y luego clasificarlos según sea, bueno, según el nivel en el que están, ¿no? Para la
Sí,
preparación del
sí,
examen.
exacto. No es porque están en tercer grado ya van a dar un movers. No, no es así. ¿Ok? ¿Nati?
Claro, yo supongo que nosotros ya sabemos quiénes son, digamos, los que tienen un poquito más de nivel en el idioma. Entonces, de esos que
Yes.
tienen un poco más de nivel en el idioma, le hacemos el
Una
examen,
prueba diagnóstico.
una prueba diagnóstica.
Ujú.
Y luego ya con todo ese,
Primero, una prueba de diagnóstico de nivel.
solo a los elegidos.
Solo a los elegidos.
Ujú.
Luego, los que pasan ese primer filtro, hago una segunda evaluación, que es un mock parecido a un examen del que yo pienso tomar ese grupo, o un starter, o un movers, o un flyers, ¿no? Pero una versión más reducida, para saber si realmente ellos se van a poder enfrentar a un formato distinto. Entonces, hago 2 filtros. Una vez que he hecho estos dos filtros, ¿qué hago yo? Cito a mis padres de familia para que estos papás realmente digan, sí, apuesto por este proyecto, sí, voy a invertir dinero y tiempo de mi hijo para prepararlo, ¿no? Y yo siempre recomiendo hacer una carta de compromiso del papá, para que después no se queje y diga que "Oh, el colegio me obligó", sino que el colegio está reforzando a mi niño y yo me comprometo a llevarlo a los trainings y invertir el dinero para el examen, ¿no? ¿Por qué? Porque se paga siempre un mes y medio antes. Si voy a darlo en diciembre, ya en quincena de octubre yo tengo que inscribir a mi niño para el examen. ¿Ok? Y trabajar mucho speaking, que es la parte que más les cuesta a los niños.
Miss, disculpe que le interrumpa.
Dime.
Con el caso de... Ay, se me fue la pregunta, Dios mío. Sí, cuando terminemos el curso de preparación, hay un certificado para nosotros, porque
Claro
sí,
que sí.
el certificado viene de la misma escuela.
El certificado es de la escuela y si ustedes quieren con un poco más de peso, también está avisado por el colegio de profesores, ¿no? Creo que pagan un monto, no es mucho, y
Sí,
está
se paga un
avisado también
monto.
por el colegio de profesores.
Disculpe, Miss, otra cosita. Si uno llega a tomar el curso, tienes que estar presente en todas las sesiones. Lo digo por un tema laboral. Justamente el fin de semana yo estoy laborando y
Ya.
estar presente en las sesiones, en verdad, se me está haciendo bastante complicado. Me encanta mucho, en verdad, pero es necesario estar presente para poder obtener el certificado, porque
Sí,
dentro
creo
de
que
todo tengo
sí, la
conocimiento ya.
mayoría de veces siempre ponemos todo el material en línea. Entonces tienes que coordinarlo con con la directora de la escuela y
Ujú.
decirle tu caso y las clases que tú puedes asistir, participas activamente y las que no, puedes ver el video, pero sí participar de repente en las evaluaciones o cositas que vamos mandando, ¿no?
Ok, gracias.
¿Ok? Somos flexibles en ese caso.
Miss Bella, entonces este curso es netamente para que nos
Para
guíen.
entrenarlos a ustedes, cómo entrenar a sus alumnos.
Ya, ajá, pero no va a ser, o sea, no va a ser más clases de, por ejemplo, cómo enseñar reading, cómo enseñar writing, cómo enseñar...
Claro que sí, vamos a ser
Oh,
enfocado en estrategias para cada una de las habilidades,
pero
¿no? Por ejemplo,
centrado
¿cómo
en el
enseño
examen.
reading a mis alumnos de Movers? Y hacemos como un tipo examen ahí, cómo le van a enseñar, qué estrategias vamos a usar para esto, cómo vamos a hacer la parte 3 de speaking y así.
O sea,
Vamos a
pero
ir
¿cuál va a ser
desglosando.
en todo caso la diferencia entre los techniques of reading? Porque sí hay cursos de techniques of reading, techniques of speaking. No, entonces, ¿cuál va a ser la diferencia entre el reading de las clases normales que hemos llevado y las techniques en reading para el
Ah,
examen?
no, no, es que
¿O es
esto
lo
es
mismo
distinto.
también?
Es un poco distinto. Aquí tenemos que agudizar tiempos, porque
Ah,
acá tenemos los tiempos reducidos para los chicos cuando dan sus exámenes. Entonces hay que trabajar mucho con tiempo y con otro tipo de estrategias que te agilizan esos
ok.
tiempos.
Y
¿Ok?
nuestro certificado sí sale como, digamos, guías para las preparaciones de exámenes internacionales.
Sí, 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 va a
Ok,
salir así. ¿Ok?
sí.
Entonces, lo que me comenta la directora es que si están interesados en el curso, escriban en el mismo WhatsApp donde les han mandado el link para que se puedan registrar y empecemos ya con esta linda aventura, porque realmente es muy bonito esto de entrenar a tus chicos con otro tipo de estrategias. ¿Ok? Listo, ha sido un gusto. Thank you very much. En nombre de la escuela, agradecemos su participación, su presencia y los espero en el curso porque tengo muchas cosas que compartir con ustedes. Tengo mucha experiencia en esto y para ayudarlos de repente a organizar cronogramas de trabajo que presenten ustedes a sus instituciones como algo innovador para que puedan. Y algo que me olvidé mencionar es que si ustedes llevan por lo menos unos 5 o 10 alumnos a dar sus evaluaciones, Cambridge les facilita el logo para que ponga el colegio en su publicidad como un centro preparador. Entonces, imagínense a qué colegio no le gustaría tener un logo de Cambridge Assessment, ¿no? Para poder marketearse en la página y qué mejor si ustedes de la mano llevaron a esto. ¿Ok? Entonces, ha sido un gusto. Espero verlos en el curso y para tener muchas ideas. ¿Ok? Listo. Linda mañana. Bye
¿Me
bye.
puedo quedar con usted un ratito, Poli?
Ah, ya. Ok, Nati.
Bye, Miss. Muchas
Bye bye.
gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Un ratito.